Hi everyone, welcome back to Total War Therapy, and after a long time we will finally see which are the 7 main categories of artillery and which are their strengths and weaknesses. So don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy my video, and let's begin. The first category we're gonna address, and probably the most common in all the game, is the not direct fire artillery. Now, I took this term from the historical warfare, where they were defining all the artillery and the weapons overall with the attribute that they could aim at a target behind a vertical obstacle. And this is what happens even in Total War Warhammer 3. This kind of artillery, you can easily deploy them even at the very back of your formation, and they will still have a clear sight of the target, because since they shoot with a line of fire of plus 45 degrees, they will bypass any obstacles like your front line or the front line of your enemy. So amongst the strengths of this category, we have the arc line and then the very explosive ammunition. So when they will hit the ground, they don't need necessarily to hit the target, because hitting the ground, the explosion will cover a more huge area. So even some enemies that will not hit directly from the bullets, they will still get hurted. And then this kind of artillery is particularly good against infantry, and I would say only against infantry. The characters are just not affected by them, and even with cavalry and monsters, they really suffer a very little damage. So just focus on infantry, even because amongst the weaknesses, you have a very poor accuracy, so they will struggle to hit the target, and they will deal damage basically only with the explosive part. So you have to be very careful, and when you play in high difficulty, the enemy will try to dodge your ammunition, your bullets. So you have to play strategically and focus more on, for example, the missile infantry that in that point, in that situation, is aiming at the target, so they are distracted and they will not dodge your cannonballs. And then they are not armor piercing. So if you're playing against a heavy armored faction, like can be with dwarves and so on, I would not suggest to use this kind of artillery. In any case, there are many different options. You have mortars, catapults, and yeah, you can have a lot of fun, and normally they are very low tier, so you can unlock and recruit them even in your early campaign. One exception that is worthy to mention is the Basket of Soul of Tom Kings. In this case, since it's still a mortar catapult with the arc line of plus 45 degrees, but it has some, we can say, guided missiles, so they will follow the target. They will be very accurate. That's just for saying that, of course, there can be many exceptions to the main category. The second category we're gonna talk about is the direct fire artillery, and it is also a historical warfare term to define all the artillery and weapons overall that they need a clear straight sight of the target, so they cannot bypass vertical obstacles. In the game, it happens that you need to deploy them in your front line for the maximum performance. You can even deploy them at the back of your front line, but you have to be careful of friendly fire, so you have to keep them at the right distance from your infantry in front of them, for example, because if they hit your infantry, and in Total War Warhammer 2 it was happening a lot, you will cause damage to your own troops. And at the same time, if you put them at the back of your front line, for example, they will underperform. So be very careful about that. They have even a very high reload time, so if they will target, and it's their job to do it, for example cavalry, the cavalry will be fast and they will reach them before they will shot many bullets, many ammunition, because they are very slow, and they are weak against infantry because they are these single cannonballs that just hit one target, and they don't have an explosive damage area like, for example, mortars and the catapults. Their strength of these units is that they are very accurate. They will, I mean, it's hard for them to miss the target, so you can rely on them, and they are armor piercing. So if you see a heavy target, this is probably the man you have to shoot at, and then you have to focus on large units. It can be cavalry, as I said before. Even if they are fast, they will reach your artillery before he will, as I say, will shot many shots, and then and even like big single entity monsters. This is probably the best target, so just focus on them. At the same time, if you're fighting against an army that has not cavalry or large units overall, I would not suggest to recruit it. An exception worthy to mention in this category is the Skaven cannons, the Warp Lightnings cannons, I think. That why this is an exception? Because what I said about the straight line, it just doesn't work for them, because as you can see, the cannons are placed in a higher position, and this is very helpful because you don't need to deploy them in your front line, because they will still have a clear sight since they are just higher. And this is another exception, just to show you that of course there can be some units very specific that even if they are part of the same category, they can work differently. The third category we're gonna talk about is the high penetration artillery. I don't know if it's a historical warfare term, I just made it up, but if it's to defining all the artillery that have a very good penetration with their ammunition, with their bullets. For example, we can take the organ guns of dwarves. In this case, we're talking about a high tier artillery, so that you will unlock in your late campaign, and they're very strong. They have a lot of strengths and very few weaknesses. First, they have a medium line, so they are not like they don't I mean, they cannot bypass directly a vertical obstacle like a mortar bend, but they don't need neither to be deployed in your front line like the cannons. This medium line works for everything. You should not worry that much about. Of course, if you're playing in a siege battle, it's better than mortar. Then they have still armor piercing damage, so they can hit everything. That can be characters, monsters, cavalry, heavy infantry. They're just, I mean, they can destroy everything you have on your target, and they have an excellent accuracy. They are perfect at everything. I mean, it's very hard for them to miss the target like the cannons, but in this case they have more that they can do far more damage. Okay, you don't need just to focus on large units, you can focus on whatever you want, whatever you feel. Of course, choose only worthy targets, don't waste it on peasant or very light infantry, because it would be a waste. They don't have so many ammunition, but yes, you can definitely destroy everything with them. Their only weakness is that they commonly or generally have a shorter range compared to the other kinds of artillery, so you will have less time to show, to get the spotlight. At the same time, they have actually a very fast reload time, so you will see they will shot the target multiple times before even the faster target will reach you. The fourth category we're gonna talk about are the high damage fire artillery. This is another term that I came up with, but is to define all the artillery pieces that are very elite, and they actually work as mortars, but at the same time they are quite different. First, they have a medium line, so as the previous category, they don't need to be deployed at the front of your front line, but neither at the very back, so just in a medium position. And then they are very explosive, like the mortars, and you should focus on infantry, because they are, even if they are elite, this is the only target they can deal with. They are no armor piercing like for the mortars, and they have still a very poor accuracy. What's the different thing about them that made them different compared to the mortars and catapults is that their damage is very impressive. It's very impressive. Sorry, I have to say 2 times, because that's the main point. You cannot just shot, and they have sometimes few ammunition, so you cannot just shoot at random targets, you know, no. The best thing to do with them is just to take off the automatic fire and decide every time to which target fire, because you cannot focus on one unit. It will be just a waste. You have to focus on one unit, then to the other unit, then to the third unit. They require a lot more of management, but you will say that the damage they will deal, it's insane. So you can, I mean, yeah, you cannot to get distracted. You have to take the most, to extract the most value from them and focus to multiple targets. Take off half of the lights, half of the life points, and you will see you will need just a couple of shots, not more, and at that point you have to move forward to the other target, and in this way you will extract all the value from their very expensive these very expensive artillery pieces, and that's it. The fifth category are the Snipers Artillery, and of course we're gonna talk about the Luminarch of Ish, a unit that I mean I never suggested to recruit in your campaign, but it's still worth it to mention because it reflects what this category is about. The Luminarch of Ish has an excellent accuracy. It's probably one of the most accurate artillery in the game. Sometimes it missed the target, unfortunately, but I mean the accuracy is supposed to be very good. The ammunition are very little. It still require a clear sight of the target, even if it's placed at a higher position, so you should not care that much about that. The reload time is terribly slow. It's just, I mean, it will take ages, probably will be like 20 seconds, that, believe me, it's a lot. It's armor piercing, so you can hit literally every target, and they are specialized in single entity monsters. Just them. If you're hitting a characters, you will see that it's not worth it. If you're hitting a infantry, cavalry, whatever, it's just not worth it. You have to use this unit only if you're fighting against an enemy army with the single entities monster. If it's not that, they're just useless, so don't rely on them. They are not that good, but yes, I still wanted to point to, you know, give the right space to this category, because there are some kinds of that. There is the Bone Giant, there are many options, and yeah, remember that they focus just on single entity monsters, single entity in general, single entity large things, and yeah, if it's not that, just don't recruit it. The sixth category we're gonna talk about is the Mobile Artillery. This is a transversal category. That means that it may cover all the categories where we previously talked about, but there is a main characteristics here, is that they are mobile. They can be pulled by horses, bears, monsters, or whatever, but yes, they can be mobile. Their main weakness is that normally they are a single entity. Not always, but normally, so the damage overall will be less compared to a field artillery that are, of course, slow by definition, but to compensate that, they are more mobile, and sometimes they have good melee stats. For example, the little Grom, as I'm showing to you, it can actually deal with very low tier infantry, or in any case it should not worry that much about being hit, being charged, because it can, thanks to the mobility and thanks to the melee stats, it can easily fight a little and then just go away, you know, wait for some of your other troops to come to help, and then just to, you know, ignore it, go away, and start again to shoot as an artillery piece. And yeah, the mobility, of course, it's something you have to use it. If you have a mobile artillery and you just deploy it at the back of your front line, it's probably not a worthy choice for the price and everything. You can deploy it, for example, at the beginning of the battle in front of your front line, so just in the open space, and then retreat when the enemy is approaching. You can use it to distract the target, to hit particularly strong enemy units that probably they're a little hidden or a little far from your reach. So use it in a versatile way. Of course, it requires a lot of management, but I mean, if you use it correctly, it will be worth it, the price. The seventh and last category we're gonna talk about is the Monstrous Artillery. Now, I really wanted to give space to this category because there are many options in the game where you have both a monster and an artillery piece. We'll take, for example, the new Arachnarok Spider with the Catapult. They are very versatile units, very expensive, so you have to be sure that they are the centerpiece of your army. They have still the mobility of the mobile artillery we talked before, and they are, I mean, almost always single entities, so the damage overall it will not be that much compared to the field artillery that are multiple multiple entities, but at the same time they have excellent melee attributes, because they are monsters basically that can be giant, like the Cyclope, the Arachnarok Spider, the Tricerat, the Stegodon, sorry, and yes, and they are very funny to use because you can use them as an artillery piece at the beginning of in your early battle, so till your enemy approach you, and when it approach you, you can use it as a melee tank, as a melee predator, so you can just hit the infantry enemy just directly, and then, you know, when at some point maybe the situation over the battlefield is a little more safe, you can still put it back again and shot as an artillery piece. And believe me, these are some of the funniest units in this game, and I love them so much. So, thank you for following me till now. Tell me which kind of video you wanna see next, and let's see very soon.